guys, gals, and in-between pals. My name is Chance, and this is a series of videos that I'm calling But That's a Different Story. It's a series of stories that come from my life, because my life is strange, and no one will believe me. So, I'm telling it. All names have been changed to save the innocent and not so innocent alike. The first story that I'm going to be telling is about how, in 2nd grade, I rehabilitated a bully. So, I'm 6 years old. I'm in 2nd grade. I don't live terribly close to anyone I go to school with. And one day, my mother and I are at home. I'm eating a snack and watching TV. And there's a knock on the door. I don't answer it. I'm 6. And she goes, answers it, comes back, and she says, "So, there's a little boy at the door who's asking for you." I was like, "A little boy? That's weird. I didn't think any of the kids from school lived near me." So I go to the door, and standing there is Ron. Ron is one of the class bullies. He bullies me. He bullies everyone. He's disruptive in class. Nobody really likes him. And he's standing there looking really bashful. And I was like, "Ron, what are you doing here?" And he kind of shuffles his foot and says, "So I saw you and your mom walking home from school, and I'm your next door neighbor, and I wanted to know if you wanted to be friends." And I stared at him for a moment, considering my options as a 6-year-old, and thought, I could turn him away, and he will continue being a miserable human being with no friends. Or I could invite him in and change his life. So I invited him in. I said, "Okay, Ron, you can come in and play, but as soon as you do something that is mean or upsets me, I'm going to send you home." He said, "Okay." He was super excited. So we go and we play for probably about half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, and Ron takes something from me without asking. And I say, "Okay, Ron, I told you you had to go home if you did something that was bad." And he said, I'm sorry, I won't do it again." But he clearly didn't quite understand what he'd done wrong, which I gathered. And so I said, I know, but I told you that you can come back tomorrow. And he did. And he did every single day for pretty much an entire year. In that year, I discovered why Ron misbehaved so much. He was literally looking for any form of attention. His brother was an awful human being. His father was an awful human being. And his mother was always at work. So he wanted anyone to pay attention to him. So I did. And his behavior began to change at school for the better. And I began explaining to him why you don't pull people's hair, or run around the classroom and take people's things, or just in general be a jerk. He literally had no idea that he didn't need to do that to get attention. And he had no manners. He didn't say please, nothing. Just nothing. So I taught him manners using a Clifford Manners book, which I actually gave him for his 7th birthday. He was super excited about it. I knew he had problems reading, and I did not. So I decided I would help him, because clearly the teacher's not being effective. We read through the manners book. I read it to him, and then I'm like, "Okay, now I want you to read it, Ron." And he looks down at the page and he says, "I can't." I said, "No, we've sounded out the words together. We can do this." He said, "No, I can't read it." And I asked him why. He said, "All the letters are all mixed up." Well, that was confusing. I said, have you told a teacher this?" "No, I don't want to be in trouble." I encouraged him to talk to the teacher, and the next day at school, I walked him up to our teacher and explained the situation. And she went, "Oh, you have dyslexia!" Not that either of us knew what that was. Because of this, they did in fact discover that Ron had a learning issue. Both he was hyperactive and also he was dyslexic. So the next year they actually put him in an ESE class, and when I was done with my working class, I actually got to go see him because I was such a good influence, apparently. Also, I didn't have friends. So about halfway through 3rd grade, he and his mom moved away, which was really for the better because they got to go live better lives. Let's skip ahead to when I'm 19. I'm at home from college. I'm sitting on the same couch, watching the same television, probably not eating a similar snack. And there's a knock on the door. Well, I'm 19 now, I'll answer the door, I guess. So I open the door, And there's this big, tall, blonde dude standing there who looks kind of familiar. And he says, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I was your next door neighbor." And suddenly it hits me. Ron? And he had come to my house in hopes that I did in fact still live there. He had no idea. To thank me for everything I'd done for him, because had I not done so, he would have in fact continued to be a miserable human being with no friends. So that's how I rehabilitated a bully at 6 years old. Unfortunately, not all bullies are as easy to handle as Ron was. It reminds me of this one time in middle school. But that's a different story. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the subscribe button and the like button. Go check out my blog and my Patreon, which are linked below. This has been Chance, signing out.